Good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good normal people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand and lost when you want. Hello, everybody. Today's vid, everybody, we are going after well-known blues tones using the glorious, beautiful orange CR120. So, the tones we're going to go for are Mr. John Lee Hooker, which you just heard, Peter Green, Jimi Hendrix. We're going for the Voodoo Child sound, not the Voodoo Child, Voodoo Child. And we're also going to go for a Stevie Ray Vaughan tone. So they're the four that I've chosen to do today. I'll probably do some more in the future. I really want to try and do like a Buddy Guy, BB King, Albert King. I won't be able to do those as well, but I'm not quite there yet with certain ones of those. So we'll get to them when we get to them. But so this could be a start of a series, maybe. I don't know. What do you think, people? Tube? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, but yeah, they're the songs we're doing today. So John Lee Hooker, Peter Green, Jimi Hendrix, blues tone, Voodoo Child tone, and Mr. Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, in that order as well. So, like I say, you just heard the man himself, John Lee Hooker, and I was going for this kind of guitar tone that he has in this video called "I'll Never Get Out of These Blues Alive." It's a very hard sound to pin down because, again, it's video quality performance, and it's not the best. It's hissy and it's not the best, but you can kind of hear it. And that's pretty close. It's got the feel, but it's not. It's about as close as I can get. Let's put it that way, Pichu. And it's a really nice sound. I really like the way it feels. It feels right, you know. One thing I will say though is I'm using the clean channel for this sound, which does kind of do break up really if you crank it. Once it's kind of cranked, it's really nice, but it does this weird compression thing. You can probably hear it when I snap the strings. You know, it kind of kills it. This is why I don't really like the clean channel on CR120. I find it's a bit too compressed. I don't really like it. I like compression, but not that kind. It's like it's crushed. But for this kind of sound, I feel that channel is the best way to go. Just dime it. A guitar with humbuckers. John's got mini humbuckers on his guitar there. And just basically just kind of like, again, play with your fingers, no plectrum needed for John Lee Hooker. And just basically just play. It's just got the right thing. Like, compression is kind of killing the low strings a little bit, but it's close. I feel it's close. Anyway, I love John Lee Hooker's guitar tone. I love his guitar playing. I love his songs. It's just ridiculous. He does a really cool thing in this version, PeopleTube, where the song's in E minor. So it's just an E minor blues, 1-4-5 in E. And when he goes to the B, goes to the 5 chord, he keeps the A droning. So when he's in E, obviously E. When he goes to the A, he has the A7 with the G in the top. And then when he goes to the B, he has this like B major triad. but then he has the A in it, but then he plays also the A low note. And it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love it to bits. And Johnny uses like 2 fingers. And I love looking at his hands. Johnny Hooker's got great hands. It's amazing. Anyway, so there we go, PeopleTube. So that's the first tone of today. So John Lee Hooker was the first one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. So the next one we're going to do, we're going to go for a period. Oh, before I do that, let me tell you how I've got the amp set up. Give you the settings. So I've got the volume cranked to 10. I've got the treble at 9 o'clock, and I have the bass at 8 o'clock. So basically, yeah, so go again. Treble, 9 o'clock, bass, 8 o'clock, volume on 10. Cranked to the teeth. Not 10 o'clock, just all the way up. And again, I just feel it does give that kind of... I mean, that's probably peeking the camera, but, you know, the intro jam's a better approximation. But yeah. What do you think? So, next person on the agenda is Mr. Peter Green. So, we're going to clip over to the Dirty channel and try and go for a Peter Green tone. Shall we? Yes, let's do that. Yes. Okay, PeopleTube. So that tone is about as close as I can get to Peter's on this amp. I feel I get a better approximation to Peter's tone actually on my Fender amps, like the Deluxe and the Super Reverb. But that's as close as I can get with the CR. And like I say, it feels close, but it's missing something. And that something is being Peter Green. Because Peter had a tone unlike anybody else. He just had a certain sound. He had supernatural, no pun intended, ability to play dynamically as he did, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. I don't know how he did it. I'm still studying Peter, like trying to get how he plays and really understand it. And it's really difficult to do. He's just one of a kind, just one of a kind. But I feel that's pretty close to that kind of like, you know, that live Green Manalishi, Tutti Frutti kind of Worried Dream kind of tone. It's pretty close. I mean, it's the closest I can get with this amp, Pikachu, to me personally. I was using my East Coast Gold Top for the first two examples there, the Johnny Hooker one and Peter Green. We're going to switch now to a Strat to do Jimi and Stevie, obviously. But let me know let me know what you thought of that one. What do you reckon? Like I say, it's just missing being Peter. There's just some sounds that you just can't. You can approximate, but you can never perfect because you're just not them. And like I say, everyone's got their own like little nuances and abilities that not everyone else has. And Peter's just one of those guys. It's just his like, again, supernatural. You know, there is a reason. There's a reason for that song being what it is. But it's terrifying. Peter's tone has always terrified me because it's so incredibly gorgeous. And it's just amazing. The man just was like, we love you, Peter. Wherever you are, we love you. So, let me tell you, I got the amp set up for this one. So, I started off with the reverb really low, just for the kind of like the Green Manalishi chords and the Tutti Frutti solo, which is awesome fun to play. So I had the reverb, I think, on 4. I had it set to the spring setting, and I had it on 4. I only used the dirty channel for this sound. I didn't use the clean channel. You don't need it for this. I'll be using the dirty channel for the next 2 sounds as well. John Lee Hooker was the one that I felt really required the clean channel, but I think Jimmy and Stevie and Peter, they require the dirty channel. It's just got a bit more in it. So I have volume all the way up on 10. So volume is cranked all the way up. It's not 10 o'clock, just turned all the way up to max channel volume. I had treble and middle at 9 o'clock. So both of them were basically that way, if you will. No bass, because you just don't need bass. The CR120's got quite a lot of low end. You just don't need it. I never used the bass dial at all, actually. Come to think of it, I never used the bass dial on this amp, if I can help it, because it's just really fat. It's the same as my Marshall MGs. I very ever use the bass dial on that. It's always on 0. Otherwise, it just kind of flubs out, and you don't have any cut. Then it's just not the best. So no bass, and I had the gain at 5. And again, that is about the limit, I would say, on the CR120. If you're going for a Peter Greeny kind of blues tone, I would say 5 is the limit. Once you get it above 5, you go into like another gain stage, and it starts to get a bit more, bit gainier, a bit too gainy as well, I would say, for Peter, especially using humbuckers. You kind of start to lose that kind of the clarity and the definition on some of the clanging kind of things and the slow blues stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's the Peter Green tone people too. So that's, and again, like I say, it's Peter's tone is frustrating because it's so hard to get it just right. And I don't really feel the CR120 does it the best. I think the Fender, the Tone Masters do it best, but I reckon it comes really close, and it does give a big fat, but same time cutting blues tone, and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially with all those points. It feels great in the room as well. It's big. It really is a big sound. It's very inspiring. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, but it's so hard. Anyway, People Tube, we're gonna move on to the next tone now, Mr. Jimi Hendrix. So we're gonna get my 79 Strat. We're gonna down tune it to D, just like Jimmy was, and yeah, we'll go for the Voodoo Child tone now, because this is one of my favourite blues tones of all time and space. So yeah, next one you hear, Voodoo Child. Let's do it. Okay, Voodoo, there you go. That's my approximation of a Voodoo child sound. That is one of my favourite all-time blues tones. And it just... There's something about a Strat being in D standard, a neck pickup, and like a set of like a broken up amp sound. It's just heaven. Anyway, let you know how I've got the amp set up for this one. So, back again, it's dirty channel again. I've got the reverb on this one on 6. So the reverb's at 6, so 1 o'clock. Volume is all the way up again. No treble this time because we're playing a single coil Strat. We don't need treble. Middle is at 9 o'clock. That hasn't moved from the Peter Green setting. No bass again. And I've got the gain at 5 still. So that's the setting. So again, volume at 10, no treble. Middle's at 9 o'clock. Bass is at 0, so off. And gain is at 5. Reverb at 6. So gain's at 12 o'clock. Reverb's at 1 o'clock. And it's just one of my all-time favourite blues tones. That is the setting I go... If I want to play the kind of like that bluesy kind of stuff, that is the tuning and the setting on the amp I'll go to if I'm plugging straight in. It's just heaven. Again, and the thing is, all these tones... When you're going after somebody else's tone, you can only ever approximate. You can never replicate perfectly. There isn't anybody in the world who can replicate perfectly. It's not possible. Even if you put Jimi Hendrix in the same room with the same amp, he would sound different every time. You know, it's just the way it is. But I feel that one's felt really close. Hopefully the mic picked it up okay. It felt really good. Again, really big sound, but again, lots of cut, lots of clarity. If you mess up, you're going to be heard and you're going to be seen for doing it. You know, there's nowhere to hide in any of these sounds. The Peter Green sound, the John Lee Hooker tone, the Jimi Hendrix tone, and the Stevie Ray Vaughan tone. There is nowhere to hide. If you're not on it, it'll show. It really will. So you've got to be on it all the time. There's no slacking in these tones, you know, there really isn't. But I love that sound, you know. I don't think anybody really knows what amp Jimi used for Voodoo Child. There is rumours that it's a Tweed Fender. I've heard it's his Marshall. I've heard it's all sorts of things. But we'll never know. You know, who knows what Jimi was actually using for that song. Yeah, we'll never know. You know, for all we know, it could be his Marshalls. You know, it could be something else. You know, it could be something we just don't know. You know, it could be anything. But I don't know. For me, I don't really know what it sounds like other than awesome. I just love that sound. Anyway, PeterTube, so we're going to move on to the final tone of today's blues tone quest, whatever it is. But I ain't got a title for this video yet, PeterTube, so I don't really to call it. Into the CR120, we're going to go for Stevie Ray Vaughan tone now. So Stevie's tone is very, very stingy. You know, Fender amps cranked to the teeth, you know, invariably super reverb, Fender Twins, Dumbles later on, Marshalls later on. You know, that the usual thing. Tube screamers, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to go straight into the amp. Again, by the way, I've not used pedals for any of these tones. It's all the amp. Guitar straight into the amp. No pedals, just as is. And Stevie's not going to be an exception to that. We're going to try and muscle our way through this. Again, I need to get my guitar in E flat. E flat is kind of key to getting the Stevie tone as well, because it just gives it an extra. You know, it doesn't really sound right when you play Stevie Ray Vaughan in standard tuning. It really doesn't. It has to be in E flat. So I'll be back in a minute with hopefully an okay approximation of Stevie tone out of a CR120. Okay, YouTube, there you go. That's the Stevie Ray Vaughan-esque tone. Like I said, it's really hard to get Stevie's tone on anything other than that, like those Fendery kind of sounds. But I feel that's pretty close. Hopefully it came across okay. I'm a bit terrified. I'm always terrified that sound comes across really badly, though. So that's nothing new. But yeah, I hope that one came across okay. I'm well out of practice with playing Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff. And again, I have to be careful because of the copyright thing. I felt like I might be able to get around Voodoo Child because it's kind of a blues. So hopefully, fingers crossed. If not, this video will never be seen. Yay. Anyway. Yeah, Stevie's difficult to play. He really is. And again, his sound is very rooted in that kind of Fendery kind of world. I think the Orange does a pretty good go of it, though, to be honest with you. I mean, is it bob on? No, but it's never going to be. You know, that's the same thing of going after anybody's tone at any given time. You're never going to be 100%. You know, you'll be lucky if you get to 70. percent on tone, to be honest with you, because it's always the variables of that human, that room, that amp, that guitar, the strings. Everything's got like a thing to do. What did they do with it after they recorded it? You know, did they mix it so go, oh, there's a bit too much high end on that, we'll bring that down a bit in mixing. Oh, there's not enough low end, we'll do that, we'll sort the mids out, we'll add a bit of compression. You know, all these things come into this when making guitar tones. Is there more than one amp? With Stevie, yes, there is. Jimi invariably would use more than one amp, but not necessarily in the studio. Because that's another thing as well. You got to take into consideration multiple amplifiers to make one sound. John Lee Hooker, no. Peter Green didn't really use two amps. He only used one at a time, really, from what I've seen. Jimi, obviously, live would use up to 3 Marshall Super Leads, but that was mainly more to get kind of a volume across, so he could be heard. Say Stevie was like, you know, he did use a lot of amps. You know, there's Fender Twins, there's super reverbs, there's the Steel String Singer, the Dumble, and there's also the Marshall Major later on as well as a Marshall PA head, which I've seen him use. And again, Stevie would combine these amps to make one sound. So to get his sound out of one amp is even more difficult. You know, it gets really hard to do because it's just all these different amps becoming one. And to approximate 4, 5, 3 different amps into one sound is really difficult. But I feel that was pretty close. You know, was it 100%? No, of course it's not. But I'm not Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it's not a Fender. But for not being a Fender, I think it did a damn good job, people of the tube. I really love the CR120. It really is an amp of many voices. It really is. There's enough gain in there to do high gain stuff. There's enough kind of like clean on the dirty channel to do the broken up stuff like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then you get like John Lee Hooker as well. So you know, it's awesome. I might expand on this series and like do like metal tones and rock tones and stuff like that as well. What do you reckon, people of the tube? I don't know where to go with this, but I'm quite enjoying it as a concept. Like, you know, it's kind of like the how many tones can you get out of one amp vids, but slightly different. In fact, it's multiple in one vid. And also, I can't play their songs because, you know, copyright. Anyway, let me know what you thought, people of the tube, in the comment section below. Was I close, far away? Which one do you feel was the closest? Which one do you feel was the most furthest away? For me, the most furthest away was Peter Green, followed by Stevie. The closest I feel was Jimi Hendrix that I got. I felt I was really, really close, and John Lee Hooker was number 2. Peter is really difficult, though. I would say Peter's one of the hardest tones to get. It's really difficult. Anyway, let me know what you thought, people of the tube, in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you again very soon for another video. If you like the channel or like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. This support is massively appreciated. I can't even begin to overstate that enough. Anyway, people, I hope you enjoyed this vid. I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. I can't even speak. I'm going to lie down. My ears are a bit fried after the Stevie Ray Vaughan tone. It's a bit on the shrill side. Anyway, goodbye now. Thank you for watching.